Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have David Calvacante of Tattoo Paradise. David, it's awesome having you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about David so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And David is a professional tattooer in Washington, D.C., a 19-year veteran of the industry. The profession has led him all over the world, creating friendships and bonds with other like-minded individuals, as well as fed his hunger for continual learning, whether it be for his profession or for his life. David, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I know I touched a little bit on your background and everything you did. So I wanted you to kind of hopefully take us through what I call your CEO story, and here will lead you to everything you're doing now.
Really just not wanting to be like everyone else, I guess. And like when I started, really just like collecting tattoos and getting tattooed, I was 18 when I got my first one. So this is 1996. Mm-hmm. So definitely wasn't, as popular in the, in popular culture as it is today.
Yeah, mainstream.
Was more definitely in underground, and that's where kind of I came up in the whole punk rock skateboarding scene. So, and it was more or less to be different than everybody else. You know, they were cool. It was something that your everyday person didn't really accept. So you wanted to go against it. So, I got my first couple, and that kind of fed the itch. And then I started, I was working at a record store at the time. So actually a lot of area tattooers would come in to like magazines, CDs and whatnot. So that's actually how I got to meet quite a few of them and getting tattooed. And then I just started like hanging out at the shops more and more, becoming friends with them as opposed to just a client. And then I left the record shop to start working as a shop assistant at one of the shops, and that just kind of led to everything else. From there, I was there for about 2 years, a year and a half, and then I started an apprenticeship to learn how to tattoo, and that was pretty much it.
Nice.
And then, yeah. So I was in college at the time, going to school for public relations, and I had done a couple internships at private firms and everything, and it just wasn't for me, and then I saw what was available at what the tattoo industry could offer me, and it was just way more fun. That's why I kind of went that way,
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think it speaks to sometimes, as you said, like when the tattoo industry was a lot more kind of underground and not as mainstream as it is now. But sometimes I think when you kind of double down and follow things that you're passionate about or pique your interest, sometimes those bigger opportunities end up coming later as people start to come around.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I was lucky enough to get in when I did because the people that I learned from had learned from older people who learned from the older people. So I got within the industry, it's kind of known that pretty much that the class that I came up with, we were lucky. We were the lucky ones that still got in with the old guard still at hand. Whereas now it's different, just the availability of information is just so out there that to try to pull off, to find someone that wants to go the route of a traditional apprenticeship is slim to none. Mm-hmm. So, I was just lucky to be able to, learn how to do this before the internet, learn how to do it through hard work, not just feeling that I'm owed something, I got to work for everything I've gotten. And that's what I really enjoy. Like what I really like about my life now is that everything that I have, in my house is, from what I've accomplished through tattooing. Tattooing's, afforded me the luxury to live a comfortable lifestyle in the sense that I enjoy everything that I have, and it's gotten me everything that I have,
Yeah.
And I've had fun doing it. It's not like I'm stuck somewhere or in a job that I'm not happy with. Yeah. I'm actually doing things that I like. I'm working with people that I really like to work with. So it's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you have the gift and the talent to be able to kind of walk, through that gift and talent. And as you said, be able to look around and see all of this came because I was, I guess for lack of a better term, sometimes bold in doing what you were able to do and being able to kind of see the fruits of all that labor and all the hard work you put in. So I wanted to go a little bit more through like how your process goes. I'm sure, everybody sees a tattoo at the end. They don't see the kind of like the process and all the things that are involved in it. So could you take us
Yeah.
through exactly what that process looks like for the people that you serve?
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple different ways, even just with the tattoo. If you're looking for something kind of small, walk-in style where it's just kind of you don't have an appointment set up, or if you wanted to do something kind of large scale, obviously the larger scale stuff, there's more prep work to it as far, just by like having your consultation with the customer to kind of just get on the same page with them so that, they explain what they want and you kind of, and I listen and then I mentally put it together for what they're telling me. And then I'll, put it together real fast in my head and see what can be done, what can't be done, the logical aspect of, and then if, what they want is a whole lot of things in a small area or one thing in a large area, maybe thinking more other elements to put in just to kind of make it not look so empty. And then coming to a common ground where both client and myself are happy and I feel comfortable doing it. There are definitely times when people bring in these ideas that I'm just not comfortable doing, and I'm not going to do the tattoo just to make money because, my name's attached to it, shop's name and reputation is attached to it. And you just don't, you want to take pride in what you're doing. You want to, we're trying to be as professional as we can in an industry that's looked upon as not professional, so we try to set the bar a little higher in that sense and try to like diminish some of the not accusations, but the appearance people have in their head of what a tattoo shop is. So really, so then once we figure out everything, if I set up an appointment or if I do it right then and there, then if I'm setting up an appointment for like 2 weeks from the time, I'm usually spending most of the time in my head just thinking about all the projects I have going on. And then usually like the day before is when I'll sit down to draw the design, and then I'll draw it out for a little bit, work on it, put it away for a couple hours and come back with fresh eyes, kind of re-edit it. And then the next morning I'll look at it again for the final copy and then do the tattoo. Hopefully it works and customer likes it and we do the tattoo and we're all happy in the end. But yeah, there's definitely going on a lot more behind the scenes than it looks like. It's not something where, people walk in, they want a large tattoo, think I could draw it up in 10 minutes. It's not going to be that good. I'd rather take the time and go over the steps that I've been figuring out what works best for me for the past 19 years. And this is what I know what works best. And luckily I have the majority of my clients that come looking for me understand that. They have no problem waiting 2 weeks or a month to get the tattoo. It's the ones that we have issues with, or I do, where it's like they want it right when they want it. And it's like, well, that's great that you do, but luckily you're not the only one. I have a list of other people that are waiting. So you just have to be part of that list, or if not, I have no problem. You go someone else, but if you came in looking for me, then you should get what you want. And yeah. And then, if you have to wait a week, you got to wait a week. It's not a big deal. But that's just some people's ideals and how they think, if that, or plenty of people have offered me more money to get them bumped up. And it's just like, that's just a big insult to me. And also more of an insult to people that I feel is a bigger insult to the people that are ahead of you. Right. And I won't do that. It's just, I'd rather not even see you again if you're going to try to do that and insult the people like that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you breaking that down. And that's exactly why I was saying, like, a lot of times you don't see all the behind the scenes, see the whole process
Mm-hmm.
of everything that you're doing. You just think you just pop in and then you get something and then you leave. When in
Yeah.
reality, there's a lot more, especially from an artistic standpoint, and you being able to kind of have a vision, listen to the person, have that communication, understand their vision or what they're trying to achieve, be able to kind of draft that out, go away, and then come back to it to make sure that it's still
Yeah.
in alignment. I think that when people start to understand the process and see obviously the talent and the care that you put in, it definitely makes sense why you would want to wait a week or two to really get something that would really, be, I guess, exactly what you're looking for, and of course get the
Yeah.
talent that you provide as well.
Yeah. I just, I just view it as like, if I were that person to come get tattooed, roles reversed, I
Hmm.
would want, the best that I can get for what, I'm paying for, and, yeah, we charge what we charge, and it is somewhat expensive for some people, but at the same time, it's like, if you want the best, then, you want to pay for it. And we definitely keep that in mind. And I do as well. Like, I understand, people's budgets and life and everything. And yeah, there's also plenty of things that I want that is out of my price range. So I would just wait, put money aside and get it when I can afford it. And same goes for my tattoo. Like, when I'll have people that ask me for price quotes and I give it to them and they're like, oh, it's really high. I'm like, well, then I could do something smaller or not as detailed, but get what you want, because this is permanent. Like, you can't just keep adding to it as well, because then you end up ruining the original. And but just like, get what you want, because you'll be happier in the end. And if you have to wait a couple more months just to save up, another $200, then wait. Like, it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. And that's a big thing a lot of people don't see, just because of, other shops in the general area or whatnot will just do stuff for way cheaper, and they might not be as talented as seller. Sometimes they are just as good, if not better. They just, charge less because of the area that they're in or whatnot. But that's just, how it is, unfortunately. Like, I want to be able to tattoo everyone, but, you know, I put a dollar value on my time and effort and everything I put into it, and I feel it's still very affordable.
Yeah.
So, just, if they're used to something that, is cheaper, then maybe that's what they're used to, and you just got to educate them on, well, there's not a general price for tattoos. Like, they start at one price and they go up, and it's all dependent on, the talent and the time that I've spent over the past 20 years, 21 years, learning everything about this. So,
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because I'm sure a lot of people that are listening as well too, in their respective industries especially, are saying, I run into the exact same thing in my industry where,
yeah.
people, you get what you pay for a lot of times, and a lot of times you don't realize that the expertise somebody has put in to learn and be really great at their craft is what you're kind of paying for. And a lot of times you're getting it at a discount even from that standpoint. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great to kind of, not great, but I think a lot of people probably understand exactly
Yeah.
what you mean as well. So do you feel like that's what makes you kind of unique? I was going to ask for your secret sauce. Do you feel like that kind of ability to be able to provide high quality work and be able to make sure that you're communicating with the potential clients so that they understand exactly what they're getting, what you're providing, is what you feel sets you apart?
I think it helps. I think really just, I don't think anything sets me apart other than the fact that I just want to keep learning and keep
Mm-hmm.
growing as a tattooer, in it. I've been tattooing full time, for 19 years. So it's like, to still have that drive to like want to get better after every tattoo that I do. Like, I learned a long time ago an old saying that you're only as good as the last tattoo you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in every tattoo I do, it could be the one I've done a couple hundred times to one I've never done before, but even that one I've done 100 times, like, I could still do better on it, whether it's just the line work or the application or something. You always want to keep advancing yourself to be better. It's like the day you stop learning on the last tattoo you did is the day you quit, because it's like you always can learn something on it, whether it's yeah, like even just figuring out skin, like everybody's skin is different and it's the body parts different. So it's just so many factors into it. So it's constantly like you're constantly having to figure out what to do. So it's kind of fun in that essence, if you look at it that way. And it's also, you know, it's, you know, it messes with your mind because like something you've done thousands of times still mess with you. And, you know, so it's fun that way. It's interesting that you're just like constantly evolving and you're trying to keep pushing yourself to get better, even though you know you are good and people tell you you're good, but you in the back of your head, you're just like picking it apart after each one you do, the smallest one, like I could have done different on that or that. And then you're like, oh, let's change up for the next time. So I think that's really what I feel separates me, or that's what is my thing that's motivating me to keep doing it and get better, just because I want to, you know, do the best job I can. And again, when it comes down to price value and everything, I know people save up months or however long and they make it a big thing to get a tattoo. So I want to provide the best thing I can for that person. Mm-hmm. So I got to keep going. I got to keep doing my job as long as they keep coming in. You know?
Yeah, no, that's extremely powerful, is, you know, having that tenacity and that hunger to continue to get better. And I think especially anybody who, you know, wants to be or is an expert at what it is that they do, you always kind of see those things that could be done better or how you can execute a lot better. And I think, as you said, like, you know, you're only as good as the last tattoo you made. And I think when you understand that, you always want to kind of push the envelope, get better, take it to an entirely different level. So truly appreciate that. And I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Replying to emails and direct messages as fast as possible. Mm. I've over the past like 5 years, when really longer than that, but it's just I've realized, like, back because I starting, you know, tattooing kind of pre-internet, you're reliant on your reputation within the city as well as location that you're in. And now location doesn't mean much, as more as the quality of work you're doing. And plenty of people reach out, like they see your stuff on Instagram, they send you a message right then and there, they see your stuff, you know, or whatnot. So, and I've definitely heard from plenty of customers and from colleagues, like where customers are like, oh, I emailed this guy, never heard back from him. Or customers being like, I got all these emails, and so our client, coworkers, I got all these emails, I just don't have the time, or I just don't want to deal with it. You know, I'm like, well, that's just money. That's just clients coming in. And, you know, you got to hope that for every one tattoo you do, you know, 5 or 10 come back off that one because they're showing their friends and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I've always made it a big deal. Like as soon as I get an email, emails come to my phone. I know exactly when I get them, and I have plenty of time during the day when I'm not tattooing to just sit and email them back, write them back, or a direct message. Like for the longest time, I didn't do direct, like reply by direct message, and then I was just like, it's stupid. Like these are people that want to get tattooed by me, so I need to. And Instagram is the biggest forum right now to get your work out. It's free publicity, it's free websites, they do everything for you. So it's like, why not? Like, so yeah, that was the biggest thing, like that customer service angle, to just replying back as fast as possible, because most of the customers aren't even expecting to hear back, or especially back that fast. So if I at least give them that, you know, then maybe they'll come in, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's huge, because to me, it ties right into what you were talking about as far as like the customer experiences. I look at it, or the way I see it is you want to create and maybe sometimes even disrupt perceptions of what, tattooist or tattoo parlor would look like. And I think that starts, a lot of times we don't realize it starts you sometimes on first contact. So the fact that they send you a DM and then you reply back, immediately, or not immediately, but, within a regional period of time, it creates that experience that sometimes can shift, not only obviously get them a really great, service and product that they have at the end of the day, but also I think shifts the perception of what you do in your profession as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've definitely worked with people that are just like don't reply to emails, and it's just like I don't understand. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna be trying to hold their hand through the whole process, because if they're not replying, hopefully that person emails me maybe, and then I do the tattoo.
Right.
It's not like it's like I'm trying to like get one over or doggy dog or make it really like Shark Tank in the shop. But it's like, if you're not going to give the customer the time of replying to an email, why are you expecting them to give you $200-300 that they worked really hard for?
Right.
Like I look at it just where it's like, a lot of people, you got to think about like what people like in your head, what people make, and a lot of them don't make as much as you think they do. So you got to think that you got to look out for them as well, because they're coming. A lot of people save up, like I said earlier, a lot of people save up a long time for this. So you want to give them the best thing and give them the best experience.
Yeah, it's so funny. I watched, a lot of times I was watching like, a lot of athletes, the way that they understand that the amount of money that people pay for like a ticket to go to a game, they want to make sure that they're playing. They want to make sure that they put on a good show because they're trying to create that experience. It definitely sounds like there's a lot of similarities, if not identical to what you're talking about as well, too. It's understanding that not only do you value your personal, time and what in the, experience that you've created, but you also understand the person's time and what they have invested in, what their value that they have. So I definitely appreciate that. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be like a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something, if you were to hop into a time machine, you would tell your younger business self.
Set up an LLC as early as possible and save your money. invest your money in low risk. But yeah, that's honestly like because the majority of our industry, we're all 1099 independent contractors. So I dragged my feet for a long time setting up my LLC in the business, and once I finally did, I even when I initially did it, my accountant was like, this is a good thing you're doing. You'll be surprised. And when we did my taxes that year, realizing like how much I saved or made by not, it was just, I was like jaw dropped. I was like, holy, this is okay. So she was just sitting there laughing because she's like, everybody does this same reaction. So yeah, that's what I would say. Play the game, because it's there and it's set up. Like, I don't want to get on a political government rant, but like, the game is geared towards businesses. So why can't we, as a small business in the small business world, get what we can get out of, this game, whether it's, setting up your LLC and paying the lower percent tax on that, and you're making more, and using all the tax breaks that are out there because they're there for a reason. Play the game, because it's actually like once you get someone who knows that they're like, getting an accountant or business lawyer that knows exactly what they're doing, and that's the hard thing as well. But once you get people that know what they're doing that could help you out and guide you, you're in there.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it's extremely powerful because, I think especially if you're really good at your craft and doing phenomenal work, to be able to kind of understand those kind of tax laws and all the benefits and things like that, or to be able to even better lean on people that know that, it sets you up so that you are playing the game to the best the ability that you can. And I think that, as you said, understanding how the world and definitely obviously the country is probably set up for a political and legal standpoint. Once you understand that and you're able to kind of play that game, and it sets you up to win as well.
Yeah. It's been a fun, and then just with I've been lucky that been around some people that know exactly, like, know what they're doing, because they've had good mentors. So they're sharing that information, and it goes out more. So, and that's all I'll be the guy at the shop harping on all the younger people, like, oh, you need to get your LLC, you need to put money away, you need to, like, because this whole chaos we're in right now, like, I've definitely have plenty of colleagues in the industry that are freaking out, or they're now finally getting back to work. But it's like, you're out of work for 2 months and you were freaking out. Like, why didn't you have something set aside? And like, with, being the industry that I am in, it's very non-essential. And like, so just got to prepare for the rainy day. So, and we never thought the rainy day would actually come in our lifetime, but it did. So I had money set aside so that I could at least, pay my bills for the next few months and not have any issue, not have any really slip in my personal life, other than, I'm not buying things, but I'm able to pay my bills and go to the grocery store and buy food so that, I could survive.
Yeah. No, that's extremely powerful. And I think that, no one expects the rainy day to come, but it always comes. And it's just a matter of not if, it's a matter of when. And to be able to kind of understand and think about those kind of doomsday scenarios, even though even I think in a lot of people's wildest minds, they couldn't expect this. But at the same time, there's going to be some type of disruption in every industry. So prepare yourself.
And then if it doesn't, then you invest the money in something and make more money off of it. Like,
exactly. Very true.
It's kind of, just be smart. Like, that's the thing. And, with tattooing, like, you're taking people that always maybe didn't have money, and then you're giving them a whole bunch of money, you're making it, and you're like, all right. And but then you realize, I've worked at places where they didn't explain what an independent contractor or 1099 is. So then come
tax time,
you're like, you owe $25,000, and you're like, what? And then because you weren't told to keep your receipts and do all really what tax write-off is. And luckily, like, I grew up, like, my father was a small business owner, so I did kind of know a little bit about that and going into it, and then learning as I went by people who taught me the right way. And I was a lucky one in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So I wanted to hear from you. What do you think being a CEO means to you, David?
I feel for me, it's more the independence of knowing what being in control of my financial future. Like, it's for my business, it's like people are come to me. And so as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, hopefully people are still going to come. But the financial aspect is always going to be the burden, and like, where I hope these people do come, because if they don't come, then I'm not making anything. So trying to be financially safe, and also try to make your money make money for you. That's another thing I've been kind of started really getting into more, just because it's like, it's there. There are ways for it to make money for you. So just kind of maybe being a CEO to me is just knowing all my avenues and understanding it, as opposed to just kind of, putting my money in the bank and hoping for the best.
Yeah. That makes sense. And what I hear is kind of like, knowledge is power, and being able to understand, especially from a financial standpoint, as you said, being able to understand the different options that are kind of available to you. And once you know that, then you can, decide to make those decisions, or not even decide to make those decisions, but you get kind of the choice to do that. So truly appreciate that definition. Appreciate your time even more.
No problem.
What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out all the awesome things you and everybody else is working
on. I'm at Tattoo Paradise, Washington, D.C. on 18th Street in the Adams Morgan area. The best way to get a hold of me is honestly just on my Instagram. It's Cavalcante, DCAVALCANTE. Or you can email me, same thing, mac.com. Yeah, man, I'm glad you reached out, and to do this. It was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about people going through the DMs to set up appointments, but they can also go through the DMs to set up podcasts. So I appreciate, getting the opportunity to be on the mic with you. And we will have all the links and information in the show notes as well, too, so that everybody can see all the awesome work that you do.
Great, man. Awesome.
All right. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.